It's the Staches and Glasses Podcast back in your life. And we're excited because Jay Watts is back, as he usually is on the pod, because he's got nothing better to do on a Sunday night, much like me. But we have an extra loser on board to help us celebrate.
Wow, the
our
slander start.
Hey, man, you know what you signed up for. Our boy Chad Frenzel from way back in the day is joining the pod tonight to discuss a documentary that we all agreed to watch. More than us agreed to watch. One of us didn't watch it. That's why he's not on the pod tonight. Lewis. But Chad joining us to talk about We Beat the Dream Team, something that was near and dear to our hearts, because when we first watched the Dream Team play, I'm sure like we were over the moon, because that was the first time in Olympic history that they let professional athletes play in the basketball tournament. And Michael Jordan was there, Magic Johnson was there, Larry Bird was there. So, 11 and 12-year-old us were like over the moon and excited. But they just did this doc, We Beat the Dream Team, and it includes, well, we'll get into that. Maybe I should introduce my guest. Chad, how you doing, man?
Hello all. Nice to see you guys.
Nice to see you too, man. Chad and I go way back, especially to junior high, when he was, and I'm going to say this, he was the best player in the city. And I know Kevin would probably have something to say about that, Jay. But Chad dominated the middle edge, middle school.
Kevin was just out here about a month ago, and me and him had that conversation. So you're free to say it right now.
Okay, 12-year-old Chad was better than 12-year-old Kevin Gross. All right, we'll put that out there right now. But yeah, Chad and I go way back to that, the middle school days.
Me and Justin too. I've known Justin since probably about as long as you, Eric.
Well, it's because you the only people you knew hooped.
Part. Yeah,
that's right. We had probably all known each other since 7th grade.
Yeah. Yes. So welcome to the show, Chad. You're officially in the Stache Gang. And I know you've been wanting to come on the show for a while. I'm glad we finally made it happen. But let's talk about the documentary. It's on HBO or Max or HBO Max or whatever the fuck they call it now. And it was a worthwhile watch for me. But Jay, I want to get your take on it first, and we'll let Chad go next. But what was your opinion of the We Beat the Dream Team doc?
I liked it. It's good to see stuff that like we saw back then from the outside, but then getting an inside look at kind of what was happening, behind closed doors. Getting to see some of those videos. That part was cool because you're like so familiar with all these guys, even the college guys at the time. And to be able to kind of get that backstory was awesome. I love that part. At first I'm watching and I'm thinking like, there's got to be a t-shirt, something I could design for this concept. And I was like, oh, they lost? I mean, they didn't, it was fake. And then I had to leave and come back to watch the back half of it. And I was like, wait a minute. No, fuck that. They did win. So it was one of those, like, it kind of had me up and down. And at first I was like super excited. And I was like let down. And then once I heard Jordan kind of co-sign at the end that the college dudes did their thing, that they got beat, I was like, oh, I kind of liked it. And then it was like all the listening to Coach K, listening to everybody else's take. I finally had a full way to look at this whole thing and not just be like really high. Then I got down low. Then I got high again. And then finally hearing, the GOAT kind of put his 2 cents, I was like, yeah, if we were in a courtroom and I was on the jury, I'd be like, that just got him off, But that was like hey, if MJ said they won to me.
That's a fair assessment, because we all know how big of a competitor MJ is. And if Jordan says, if the GOAT says, yeah, they beat us, pretty sure that's what happened. Chad, what was your take on the documentary?
Well, as you both know, my 7th grade park league team was named the Dream Team. So like I had a lot invested in this shit, just telling you the truth. But I agree with Justin completely. When Magic and really I think Magic kind of really cemented it for me, because when he said, they were talking smack and like they and you guys both know, being a basketball player, how competitive we are. You know, and we weren't as great as these guys. We weren't legends.
What? Come on.
But I mean,
we were City of
Park
Burbank
legends.
legends.
Park legends.
City legends. I mean, Justin won every year in high school. He's a 4-year champion right here.
No, not 10th
Wow.
grade.
Not
I got
10th grade.
cut.
You
No, I
got
didn't
cut.
because the second day on that Tuesday at school, the photo teacher, fucking not that word, idiot.
Rest
We
in
got
peace.
in the
He
room.
died, by the way.
Brim?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not even going to point slander on all the hearsay, but I was there. We were 30 deep inside the dark room that they had just painted, and he waited 5 minutes to turn the fan on. And 10th grade me, starving, thinking about what were the cinnamon roll, whatever the cinnamon bread or toast that they gave out. All I'm thinking about, some girl goes down. All I remember was
wait,
I
what?
turned, she passed out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're in the, I mean, child labor. This dude could have killed her. She passed out. I turned to the side and I was like, ooh, like I'm hungry and something ain't feeling right. I went down.
Oh
shit.
shit.
Bro, I
This
wake
is all
up.
news to me. What?
This was news because this was a class that had juniors, seniors, whoever. And
Right.
there was, I don't know her name, but there was one of the prettiest girls in school was in there. My ass comes out of the room after finally waking up. Everybody's asking me, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" I was like, "Yeah, bro, things are cool, bro. Why is everybody asking me how am I doing? I feel fine." They're like, you were just laid out. Your eyes rolled back in your head. My aunt picked me up. I went to the doctor. I didn't leave the house for 2 or 3 days. Everybody was worried, scared and shit. And nobody invited me to come back to the second day of trial. So I said, "Okay, I'll see you later." And went to Olive every day. And then came back for junior year and finally played. But yeah, that
Wow.
was an intense. Woods has 4. I think Chase Guerrero's got 4. But yeah, I have 3. But fuck.
I got
Wow.
3. I'm with you. I got 3.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I probably have no chips.
You got the senior year. You got one.
got a
I don't
chip with
know what
us.
happened before, buddy, when you were at the other school.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't tell you what happened there. But me and Chad were over here.
I was supposed to be the man at that school, and I decided to come join you knuckleheads.
And
got
then
the
look,
12th
we went to Hawaii.
spot
You
on
won
the
a
bench.
championship. You're
Went to
welcome.
Hawaii, got in trouble with coach because I had girls in my hotel room.
This is true.
You did. I remember that.
Yeah.
You and Carlos had
Yeah.
a couple of ladies in the room.
Oh no, Carlos cut out before we even got to the hotel room. He's like, "I'm not going to get in fucking trouble." And sure enough, I was the one who was pinched, and he was all pissed at me that very
Pinched.
same night. That very same night, you, Kevin Woods, and all you motherfuckers are getting drunk in another hotel room, and you're shit faced. But
I
I
still
was
got
the one
pictures
that
of
got
it.
in trouble.
Did you guys
Yeah.
go to the strip club with me?
I did.
Oh,
You did, right?
I was there. I
Oh,
was
You
you
were
there.
there.
hold on.
We
Wait
got
a
we got
second.
necklaces in the street,
We
and then
did.
we went to the strip club. 17 years old, not knowing what to do. I was
Okay.
lost.
So
Chad was a
I-
veteran. He's like, "This is what you do, guys." I was like, "Wait, what?"
You know what? You know what?
He
I
was
just
veteran
realized.
now. He knew what to do.
I just
awesome times, man.
I just realized, like, we're sitting here trying to talk about an HBO documentary.
Woo. Okay, let's go
And
back.
we're reliving 17-year-old us in the strip
Oh
club,
man,
girls in our hotel rooms,
good
We're gonna
times,
need a
brother.
benched
golden-
and winning chips in high school. Like nobody
we need
gives
a
fuck
golden era
about this.
podcast. We need a golden era podcast where we
We-
could
we
just go
do
back
need a
to all
golden
these
era.
highlights.
Where the only people
Dude.
that will listen to us is people who gave a shit about us in high school.
No,
We
these
are
stories
so-
are cool, man. It does anybody would enjoy our stories. We had some awesome times, damn it.
Good
Yeah, we
God,
did.
we're so
And you think about it though,
middle-aged.
Eric? No, you think about it like it is different for us growing up where we grew up. I mean, it is. We're literally in Hollywood's backyard. We don't even know, but our average student of boroughs, and you take a ton of these schools across the United States that are just not really influenced as much or don't see as much as us or as exposed as much to us, they're comedy level. No offense, guys. There's a couple outliers who are nice, but
Not-
most of their level is just here. And
Not
our
gonna
average
lie.
is just a little better.
Not gonna lie, my 17-year-old son is on the choir at his local high school here, and we hosted a competition a few weeks ago. One of the schools that was coming was Burroughs, and me and some
Fire
other
who?
parents. Well, no, me and some other parents were talking about the competition. One of them mentioned Burroughs, and I was like, "Oh, I graduated from Burroughs." Like, just not like really thinking about it. And they're like, "You went to Burroughs? Oh my
Dude, they're
God,
yeah,
they
they're
are
pops.
the best show choir in
Yeah.
the world." Like, they were just
That's where
over.
Glee wasn't Glee written over after Burroughs.
Our senior year, the people from Warner Brothers came to our show choir and totally watched it. Went backstage, met the kids. That's where the idea from Glee came from. If you actually watch Glee
Yeah,
in
crazy.
the like the credits and stuff like that, it names Burroughs.
Crazy, bro.
Yep.
See,
Okay, well, I've never watched Glee. My son
we're
has, who
Mythbusters.
was really into Glee for a while. So this is all news to me. Oh, God. Remember how I was saying I never take notes around a podcast? Maybe I
Yes,
should
sir.
start taking notes about shit that I've lived through, because I evidently went to a high school, or we went to a high school
Yeah,
that is on the map in
Yes,
terms of
Absolutely.
popular culture. But whatever.
just the
Didn't even-
valley to itself is. I mean, dude, all these movies, everything that we literally grew up and we watched and influenced came from what we saw in real life.
That's true.
You know,
That's true.
which is
I mean,
crazy,
I mean, the Back to the Future house is sitting there in Arleta.
dude.
Yeah.
E.T.
I
is
did-
in Tonga.
They just
Yeah.
had a couple. They just had a bunch of they had like a little get together at the Burger King here. So the guy had the DeLorean. I took some pictures. He had everything. The time he had the time machine with everything.
Isn't
I mean, he had a
wild?
hoverboard. He said that there was another dude who was there, and he was like, "Yeah, I sold it to him." And he said in 200, like he said a lot of money. And Jackson was like, my son was like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "I guess these dudes, I don't know how they got their money, but he had a trick." The DeLorean looked like it was from the fucking movie. Then two dudes came with the truck that McFly had at the end with the KC in the front.
Yeah.
One guy had the little what are those things called? Little triangles, the different, the whole rainbow triangle thing wrapped up around it. Dude, it was like, oh shit, this was, again, another filmed right there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Isn't
Golden
it wild
era.
that
Crazy.
Dr. Brown's laboratory / garage was sitting there in the Burger King parking lot?
Dude. Fucking
I
sick.
was just like, yo, Toys R Us is just around the way.
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Yeah. When a Whopper was 99 cents.
Dude, don't get me
Then
started.
it went to 125. I was like, all right, we could. And now look at it. You want one Whopper? It's a $5
it's like
bill.
$10.
Yeah.
Something
Crazy.
stupid. Dude, where did we trail off? I don't even know.
We're back to 1995, but we're watching the Dream Team.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, it's
We're back. That's where we
1992.
And just to kind
Yeah.
of piggyback on that though, we both, and Justin will remember this, our sophomore or
Oh,
our
we're still
sophomore
talking about high
junior-
school. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, no. But no. We scrimmaged the varsity team, and we would beat the varsity team in scrimmages, and so to me it kind of just goes back, like, if you're an athlete or you're a basketball player, you have a lot of pride. And
Yeah.
if for anybody to say the Dream Team let that game get away from them or let them, that's just craziness. Like no professional athlete, no athlete in general is just going to
Yeah.
let a team win a game.
No.
So
Yeah.
Not at all.
when and I love Mike. I that's one of my heroes.
Krzyzewski.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, and everybody knows I'm a Dookie, but I can't co-sign on Krzyzewski saying that game was thrown or that you believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's kind of an asshole statement.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit, because that was like probably like one of the big reveals of the documentary. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but if you're listening to us, you've either seen it or you don't give a shit. So Mike Krzyzewski says that Chuck Daly purposely threw that game. And when he said that, I was like, what? Like, what do you mean Chuck Daly purposely threw the game? Like, he coached it poorly on purpose? Like, he elected not to put players in, or what? How exactly did he do that? And I'm thinking more so what you were saying offline, Chad, was that like Daly was trying to prove a point to these Dream Teamers. Like, they're by far and away the best players in the world. That's why they're on the Dream Team. That's why they call them the Dream Team. But Daly was like, you better not fuck around because you could be beat by anybody on any day. So if you come into this gym and fuck around, it's gonna come at you. And so when the select team, which included players like Grant Hill, fucking who was that? Chris Webber, Jamal Mashburn, Bobby Hurley, which I know is
Penny
a guy.
Hardaway.
Penny Hardaway, like they were deep. They were deep. Oh, look at Justin. Justin just like
it just turned. It just turned into the phone and did something now. So here we are.
Okay. Video
people.
technical difficulties. But, they were a squad. They were young and inexperienced as far as the pro level, but they were a squad. And so
they were probably a squad that was good enough to win a gold medal.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
You put that team,
Yeah,
team in there as the dream team or whatever, or as the American team, they win the gold for sure.
Right. Because the prior years, they would have been the squad that represented us in the Olympics. So like, that's one thing I also like to point out is that squad would have probably won a gold medal that year for the Olympics. So to say they were just like a bunch of like, college kids is kind of, there's 3 Hall of Famers on that team.
Yeah.
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 You know what I'm saying?
To be fair, they probably would have had more players selected. There were only 8 of them. So again, Penny, Chris Webber, Eric Montross, Jamal Mashburn, Bobby Hurley, Allen Houston before he was like really popular, Grant Hill, and Rodney Rogers. That was the team. 8 guys. They took it to the dream team in practice one summer down at UCSD.
That was the first day, wasn't it? First day?
It was their first day. But they were
also wasn't
they
the
were
team...
training. Yeah, so the dream team was training down at UCSD. Yeah, and then they flew all these kids in, and they're ecstatic. They're like excited. They like 2 of them. I think it was Grant Hill and Chris Webber. Like they met Larry Bird, and Larry Bird's like, "Oh, you guys are the college kids, right?" And all his Hank Hill voice, and he says, "Okay, well, you better get some rest. We're going to bust your ass tomorrow." And that was the moment where, like, I think a lot of these guys were like, "Okay, we're not just gonna get mowed over by the dream team. I don't give a fuck who they are and what do they do." What was the final score? Do you guys remember? 60,
they won by 8,
62 to 54.
Yeah.
62
to 54. I got a question. You think before they came in, you think Daly had these? You kept bringing this up about, hey, you guys could lose the game, or do you think he pretty much did it on purpose, waited for the scrimmage to almost show them as an example, like, look, you're gonna scrimmage these kids, you're gonna scrimmage these young kids, whatever, and basically was waiting for his point till after that game to prove, hey, you guys could lose. You can lose the game. I know you guys are the world's best, but you can lose the game. Do you think do you think he was reminding them before, or do you think that it was like he waited for this scrimmage, let the scrimmage happen to prove his point? Like, hey, we could lose if we don't bring our shit together,
Great question, Justin. Great question. Because I actually thought about that as I was watching it. Yeah. And I truly believe Daly said it beforehand, but he used it as his like aha moment.
Yeah,
and I'll give him this. Jordan didn't play a lot in that scrimmage.
True.
Yeah. Magic probably didn't play a lot in that scrimmage. But their backup 5 should have still won that game. You know what I'm saying?
100%. 100%.
And that's why, like, when they say, well, Jordan didn't play much. Well, Jordan didn't need to play much. You still had Clyde Drexler. You still had Chris Mullen. Yeah, you still had a grip of ballers on that team.
Oh, for sure.
It shouldn't have took Jordan to win that game, to be honest.
Their worst player was the best college player of the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They had a squad.
Yeah.
With a capital squad. Yeah.
And that's where it goes back to, like, and especially like in our day right now, and you talk about baseball, football, basketball, any great team can get beat in a day. Anybody can lose in a day. Whether somebody just comes out on fire, so you're not playing to your best that day, shots aren't going in, or you just have one of those days where the basketball gods aren't shining your way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that
you play the level to your competition too. Sometimes you played it down to the level. That's the hardest thing to try to teach a kid is like, hey, don't matter. Head down until it's 0-0-0 on the clock.
Play your game.
The whole time. It was funny. Today we had like this championship for the coaching thing, and I've had, you coach all different teams because it's a league and there's like 3 of us. We coach all the teams. But there's one team who I had for like 6 weeks almost in a row. And I was like, let me get their playoff game. I felt like that team just listened. They resonated. It was like an anomaly. Like all the other kids, you're telling the same message and they're like, what? Like, some get it. It's not as fast as other. This team got it. And bro, sure enough, today they're 2 big guys. One guy was sick. One guy was hurt. Like all the cards were stacked against. They ended up winning it all. And it was like one of those moments because I'm like, I think that they really understood the deep level of like being a team. Like these dudes were unselfish, and everybody, these are all kids. Like they're selfish, unfortunately. Like we all were, right? Like how do you teach them that? Like,
it's my podcast. Sorry,
you muted X me out right now. You're Tony Reali.
Did you just call me Stat Boy?
No, I called you Tony Reali. I don't know what
he's Stat Boy on Part of the Interruption.
He was there for 23 years, buddy.
Oh wow, that's a long time. Now he's the old guy.
Yeah, he is the old guy.
Yeah.
But
all right, so
but
these kids were starting to get it.
Yeah, and it's kind of I don't know. It's it was trying to connect it to what we were talking about, but it was interesting. We're talking about coaching and listening, but like Daly's approach is also, that's got to be, I mean, how do you 12, I mean, these are the best players in the world. That's got to be the hardest part, is the mental part of motivating these dudes every game, especially when they start stomping some of these teams. Like,
yeah,
they could have had one of those. We've seen it after. We've had it. USA teams had it. They got bronze one year, some championship. They didn't even play. Yeah.
Athens, so they got served.
And we should have still, but that also shows you how the American game and sometimes the European game in South America, it's different. We feel like we have that topper end talent, but then when I think of like team construction and selflessness, you see that more out there.
And they all can shoot. They all can shoot. We have a lot of athletes. We got some low post players, but do we have those same kind of shooters? Not really sometimes.
That's true. On average, you're right.
And I'll say this much. Working at USA Basketball in the summertime, I was there when Cooper Flag went off this summer.
So so you watched him take it to him?
I was there.
Damn.
And I'll tell you this much. They didn't double him. They didn't call timeouts. And he literally gave it to AD.
He was
gave it to him. And he was 17 at the time.
Yeah.
So saying this much, I could kind of see where Kerr was kind of doing the same type of thing, allowing it to happen, so he could use that to make a point, kind of. But at the same time, it doesn't mean he didn't ball out and give it to the pro. You know what I mean? But like watching that, it really kind of reminded me when I was watching the video. I'm like, oh, dude, that kind of reminded me of Cooper, because Cooper was the top high school player.
Yeah.
But he was also 17, and I don't think anybody expected him to walk on that court and be one of the best players on that court.
It's incredible how much up and above the rest of the talent pool is he is when it comes to the other players. The 2 team, you're absolutely right in that, like, they needed a humbling moment, because they're competitors, right? But they needed a humbling moment that would really like tell them, like, you can't fuck around. And I think my theory is that, like, halfway through the game or whenever during the game, Daly was like, all right, these kids are really trying to take it to them. I'm just going to let it play out and let these kids do what they do. And maybe there was some, okay, MJ, why don't you just go ahead and sit on the pine for a little bit and let this kind of thing come together. And they beat them 62-54. Now, so much of this goes into that game. but very few people talk about the very next day.
Yeah.
Where the dream team beat them by like 50 something.
And Allen Houston didn't, like when he said Allen Houston didn't get the ball up here. I mean, you watch that game. Allen Houston, I don't think scored that next day.
Yeah, that was
it goes
crazy.
to show you when you kind of like
and
bring
Houston
out
had
the
a quick
greatness.
release, man. Like
Oh,
his mechanic was quick. So to not be able to get the ball above his shoulders for that entire game was just like he was being locked down.
That shows you how good they really, how badass the dream team really was like, okay.
Oh,
little fuckers.
When you kind of put them in a spot where they had to kind of prove it now, because I think before that they were just like, we're the guys, But then when you kind of like brought that out of them and say, okay, now, and you know that night after that game, the first day, they got together in somebody's room and said, hey, that shit ain't ever happening again. We're gonna kick those kids' asses.
Yep.
Yeah. They did not want a second 62-54 game.
And they were feeling themselves thinking,
they were just like, look what we did. Yeah. Shit. Now they're letting pros in. You took my spot and what have you. But then the pros were like, no, we're here for a reason.
Bobby Hurley couldn't even get in the middle again. He was getting the shit stolen. Scottie Pippen and Jordan put the camps on them guys, and they showed what they were. But at the same time, it goes back to in one day, and every dog can have his day. You know what I mean?
Yes. By the way, we should mention that the writer and director of this doc is Michael Talajian, AIA at the end, AIN at the end. He's sounds like he's an Armenian cat from where we grew up. And he went to SC. He studied, what did he study? He studied liberal arts with an emphasis on economics at USC. I'm sorry. Film and television for his undergrad. And then
that makes more sense.
So wait, hold on. I'm getting it all wrong. He went to Cornell, got his PA there.
Who is this other guy?
Right?
He went to Cornell and then got his master's in film and television at USC. Okay. So he at least spent some time in the SoCal area. So he became very ingrained in terms of like media there. And now he's working with the NBA as a story and storytelling advisor, which is really cool.
And great job getting Grant Hill to narrate it, because I think we can all agree Grant Hill is one of the most stand-up guys that was ever in the NBA. And
for sure.
You know what I mean? Like I almost hope he ran for public office, because I think he's one of those guys, you know what I mean? But I think he gave so much credit or credence to that situation, because when you saw Grant talk to Mike Krzyzewski, it was like, hey, like Grant was like, I want to get this off my chest, man. I don't know, I love you, Mike, but at the same time, like we don't see eye to eye on this.
Yeah, I
Mike
think
was deflecting.
I think it was great that they had Houston in there, but like, let's be real, this was a USA basketball production. Like, it was very much from, like, they had the green light on pretty much anything USA basketball when it came to this documentary, which is great. Like, as much access as a documentarian can get, the better the documentary is going to be. So of course you're going to have Grant Hill, the head of USA basketball or whatever his title is.
President of the committee right now.
Right. So they're going to get him. Like, Krzyzewski has been involved with USA basketball for years, and of course he'll have that Duke connection. So of course they're going to be able to sit those guys down in a room together to discuss it. And like, to Krzyzewski's credit, like, he's not breaking kayfabe. Like, he's just sticking to the story. Yeah. He's like, no, Chuck Daly threw the game. I 100% believe that. And like, even if he sounds like a crazy old man at this age, like, I'm still loving it.
But I loved how they got the what's his name, the other assistant coach that was with Portland. They got choked out by Sprewell.
PJ Carlissimo. Yeah.
See, and to me, Magic and Carlissimo are the ones that kind of stamped it with approval when they're like, dude, we didn't throw that game. Like, like, come on, like, like, we're all professionals at this time. And like, now to give Chuck was a great motivator. I mean, I think we all can agree the Bad Boys teams in '89 and '90 were two of the toughest teams that will ever be in the NBA. So I think the genius of him and kind of allowing it to play out and allowing the situation to be the way it was, and maybe not calling timeouts, not subbing guys. Yeah, there may have been a little play into it, but at the same time, don't take the credit away from those college kids, because they fucking balled their ass out.
They were all on the court. They were out there playing, so there's no excuse.
And that's just the thing. Like, I think the select team really came out and balled out that day. They really wanted to prove a point that that like Wu-Tang, they ain't nothing to fuck with. And they
the
went out
motivation
there,
was high.
And I remember Chris Webber talking about how when he was playing in the game and he got the ball in the block, like he was trying to rip down the rim every single time he dunked it. And he got a lot of dunks in that game.
Yeah.
You know, like he was all over the glass in that game. And it was incredible to hear the stories and how they came off. And like just that game alone, I think, like Chuck Daly, you said, is a motivator. I think this game was a motivator for the entire Dream Team to say, okay, if these kids could come in here and they could beat us by 8, we have to make sure that shit never happens again. So, of course, the next day, the Dream Team beats the Select Team by 50, humbles, or however many it was, humbles those kids. And they go to international play and start humbling every motherfucker on the court, beating everybody by 45, 50 points. Like that game probably did a lot more for the Dream Team than we're really thinking about.
Oh, absolutely. Because like even a couple of them said it. They thanked those kids for getting them ready for that. Because I really truly believe maybe before they got to the Olympics, maybe in one of those practice rounds or something, maybe something like that happens on the world stage where now everybody's like, oh. But I think the fact that it happened behind closed doors with no real press allowed in, I think that was probably one of the most genius things that happened.
One camera.
That'll never happen again. That's never going to happen again. It's the other part of this. They'll never, And like one thing with the college guys, like real quick, like Weber even talked about how these were his heroes. Like, these are the dudes he looked up to as like, dude, this was I know it was an out-of-body experience for them because they were like, oh shit, these are the guys I grew up and now I'm here. I think that is also for the first time playing them, you're like, that's like the greatest motivation ever is that your hero co-signs your game. Like what? That's another aspect. I think them coming into it was like, and they saw everything and they were just secondary guys in the background. Nobody in the crowd knew who they were. Everybody was there for the Dream Team. And then they're like, wait, damn, like there's no pressure on us. We could play free, but then at the same time, like I'm playing against my hero. Like, yeah, all right, I got to show them like a hoop.
Well, and I think some of those guys really began to think, I'm an NBA player. Like I really think that maybe projects Weber to being the number 1 pick, or for Penny to be a top 3 pick.
Penny was.
You know what I mean? Like
all these guys were lottery picks. Like it was
all of them.
Yeah.
No, for sure. It was a good stamp for them too to get that word out too, as far as their own stock is like, hey, these dudes are out here playing the Dream Team and they are hanging. Even though the second day they got their ass whooped, you still gain the respect of everybody. That's like they could play, and they're still young. So like they haven't even spent a day in the league yet, and they, even if it was a 3-game series,
and some of them are sophomores.
They back in the day, hey, they won the first. You might have lost the next 2. Yeah.
So sophomore or a junior, like you're still on your rise as well at that time.
Oh yeah, I mean you're 20 and below. Like
they can't even go drink afterwards. They have to go back to the hotel and get room service.
I think Justin
people together.
I think Justin froze. Look at that guy. He's not moving at all in the Zoom in the Zoom at all.
Look at that face though. You can't love it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'll say this much. In high school, you guys know Anthony Baird was one of my guys. Like me and Anthony grew up, and that was one of my buddies. Anthony loved Justin. Anthony loved Justin, and I don't know if I've ever told Justin this, but he used to drive me crazy when we were younger, just because he had so much energy, and he was always being funny. Like, I don't think he had a serious bone in his body. And I remember when we get to games, like especially like away games, and like kind of like, hey, we got to win this game for the championship or to keep our undefeated streak or whatever. Justin would be the kid that I'd be like, bro, settle it down a little bit. And Anthony Bayard, right? Just go, give me an hour. Just give me an hour. Just give me an hour. But Anthony used to always tell me, and I remember him saying this clear as day, that kid's going to be solid. Just give him time, Chad. Anthony saw his game and realized he was going to be a little bit of a late bloomer, but he had that game. And I remember Anthony used to just tell me, he'd be like, hey, dude, he's like, he's going to be all right, Chad. Give him time. And I swear to you, I used to always think about that our junior and senior year. I'd be like, dude, he was right. Like Justin, like he saw the ability in you. I swear to God, he did. Remember we used to go to
that's
Andrew
crazy
Shin's house and play together.
Yeah, that's crazy too. Because I remember him. We played at Luther one day, and I think that was with Aaron Sepulveda, and it was the first time I played like Burbank Park and Rec. It's like 7th grade, and Anthony was like, he's like, oh, I heard, because I went to Jordan. He's like, oh, I heard about you, but he gave, like, for a kid I never met before, to show be like respect, at a level, even though we're in 7th grade. Like, I never forgot that either. To this day, like, I never forgot that. I remember specifically on the Luther court, we had a little exchange, and I was like, oh shit, like, I don't even know this dude, and
he liked you. He liked you.
Yeah, and he showed me love. I was like, the fuck is this? I've never seen this before. You know what I mean? But like, looking back, it's funny that you say that now, because it was like, I've never forgot that one exchange on the court that day. Crazy.
We played at Andrew's house. We played a 2-on-2 game, and it was me and Anthony against you and Gaither.
Wow.
We ended up beating you guys.
Yeah.
We ended up beating you guys, and Gaither was kind of talking smack to you after all, like you made him lose or something. And Anthony looked at him, and he's like, he's the only one that was making the shots in your team. Chad whooped your ass. But like, he on your back, dude. He on your complete back.
Man, shout out to Anthony Bayard.
And I always remember that. Like, he used to tell me, like, hey, Chad, calm yourself a little bit with this one. He's like, I know you take this very serious. You take this very serious, and he's not at that level yet, but give him time. He's going to be there, dude. He's going to be there.
Took a minute to harness me in.
I remember Anthony Bayard always giving me shit in elementary school. That's what I remember about Anthony Bayard.
You are a rival. So, like, he looked at you as like, oh, you're the Detroit Pistons to our Lakers.
I remember those games where, like, there were two focuses, you and Anthony. And we had Anthony in foul trouble in the first half at one point, and we're just like,
to swarm him. You guys used to swarm him.
I mean, he had handles. Like, he had handles.
He used to get mad at me. He's like, "Why aren't they doubling you like they're doubling me?" I'm like, "Cause you got the ball, dummy."
Man,
I'm like, really? You got the rock. If you pass it to me, they're gonna double me too.
Yeah, well, unlike, not unlike, but most of us, like, we talk shit about this game and like who's getting doubled and like who's giving dap to who, but none of us made the select team. So
no. Hey, but the game gave us the game. I was thinking about this before, like, you might not, like, obviously you want to play professional, you want to get paid, you want to gain the respect.
I 100% wanted to go to the University of North Carolina, dude, and become a Tar Heel and get drafted in the league. Like, that 12-year-old me was all about it.
I mean, it went for a while, but like, when you really look about what you got out of basketball and like, the connections at the park, the people you met, all those other things. Now, like coaching, you guys understand what that's about, giving back. Then it really starts to be like, holy shit. Yeah, we didn't make the initial dream was to be the man or whatever and to play professional, but like what you got out of basketball, it's like, it's a different, basketball players are a different breed. There's, football players got their thing, baseball guys got their thing, but to me, basketball has always been the the one that they look up to, the one that's like, hey, they want to know what music you're listening to or what party you're going to or who you're hanging out with and da 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 da. It always seems to revolve around basketball. So like, it's always good to remember that part. That,
it's a family culture. It really is a family culture. Like once you're in that basketball brotherhood or that fraternity, I think
people look out.
You do, and you, like Justin was saying though, like what it brought to your life, like what morals, what work ethic, what understanding, what communication. You know, like I tell people this all the time. I learned more from basketball than 12 years of school.
Socially, for sure. Yeah.
I say that all the time.
Yeah, sure.
And as a person, just me as me, you know what I mean? Like my being, I think it really like raised me in a lot of different ways. Like I didn't have a father growing up. I lived in a foster home for a few years before you guys met me. And John Sorrell, my coach in those years, like me and John still talk to this day. We still go out to lunch. We still meet each other. We still communicate. And
I used to give him haircuts.
Right? I remember we talked about that last time he was on here. Jay faded me out. Yeah. And like
John was a good dude.
Jay is still giving cuts because he gave me a haircut before a job interview a few months back. So
that's what I'm talking about. But but Justin and I played on a Hoop It Up team when we were in 7th or 8th grade. We won a championship in Huntington Beach and Hoop It Up. And one of John's best friends was a guy named Eric Mercury. He played for the Denver Nuggets. He played like 2 or 3 years in the league. I don't know if Justin remembers. But when we were going to the championship game and Hoop It Up, we were like the last one to play. We played in the parking lot of Huntington Beach. And the water, some water or something spilled over on the championship court. So Merc was like, no. You're moving them to another court. You ain't letting these kids get hurt. And just like people like that like looked out for you, that like cared about your well-being. Farad, I still touch base with Farad, and like him they trained me in high school. Like him and his dad.
Dude, that dude was a legend to everybody in the park as a kid.
Right?
I lived in Verdugo Park, so I walk across. Dude, Farad's ass was like Michael Jordan in the flesh. The shit he was doing to these dudes at the park before they wouldn't let you on and you had to sit on the sidelines. I would be like watching Farad, and you're like, oh man, this dude's nice.
I have no idea who this dude is.
Oh well, dude,
he played semi-pro.
Chad and I lived in the park.
We lived at the park.
I was at McCambridge.
That's right. You were on McCambridge all the time. That Olive. You were at Olive too.
I was at Olive sometimes, but McCambridge was home to me in terms of ball. So like when you guys talk about the Verdugo nights or the Verdugo Saturdays, like I was never there. And
that's
like
middle school, elementary.
You talk about it all the time, and I was just like, I lived on the other side of town, so I was going there.
I feel like every kid who went to Verdugo or lived in that little vicinity and went to the park, everybody, Orlando, everybody on Rosemary, everybody knew Farad. We all looked up to him, and he was like a good dude. Again, back to what you were saying about Chad, about like the family part, like. He knew that we were all the little homies. He always said, what's up? He always engaged with you. Always.
It was out.
Yeah, especially obviously there was a group of us who were like the gym rats, right? Like you were at every park, outside, indoor, and you meet all these people and they were like zoo, all these crazy dudes that would always look out for you. They'd always ask questions. They were like, that's something too that golden era, I feel like there is not gym rats anymore. They go train with kids one-on-one, but kids aren't in the park like we were in the park.
No,
and
not at all.
It's crazy how much the community you really felt what a community like the basketball community brought. That's why I really feel like it's so much different than any other sport. Like maybe those other sports have it, I don't know, and I'm just speaking ignorant, but basketball was like we've seen so many layers of it. And it's like not just one, like everybody who was experienced that, I don't know, different times.
That's true, man. That's true. And I think that's why the kids nowadays, when they're going with their private trainers and they're doing the one-on-one stuff, that's why I don't think we have the same fundamentals, the same IQ, the same understanding of how to play.
They don't even have the same defensive mentality. One of the things I was thinking about over the weekends, like totally unrelated, but like one of the things I was thinking about over the weekend was these personal coaches. They're doing all these like crazy drills with 3 balls like through the legs and off the wall and doing a tennis ball.
Shit, you're not doing in a game.
Shit, you're not doing in a game, right? And I'm like, that's great. Okay, fine. Like, you can do some ball tricks. Great. What are you doing for this kid's defensive intensity? Like, none of these coaches are teaching these kids like running from line to line and shimmying getting down in a defensive stance. Like, do they even know what a defensive stance? Yeah, closing out. Like you know how many times shots get put up now and dudes don't even close out?
No, most of these trainers are not. They're not doing
none of them,
or even talking about anything defensive. A lot.
None of them.
I mean, there are some who are like steady, good dudes, good trainers, but a lot of them
like
are
the exception to the rule.
A lot of them are Instagram, and they want to make sure that they're showing that, hey, look, your kid can do what this kid can do and how he can dribble. But like we said, a lot of it is in game reps. A lot of this stuff you're not doing in a game. If I trained a kid, I'm like, well, for shooting, I tell him, first of all, that I can dribble, but I'm not doing fancy stuff. I was like, we're going to put up shots. I'm going to try to get your kid in 30 to 40 an hour to put up form shooting shots, free throws, pump, all different triple threat, all this different stuff. I want them to put up shots so they understand that, like,
do they even know what a triple threat is now?
Well, like my kids, the ones that I have in this league, I have from fourth graders to like kids who graduated last year, let's say. So like 19-year-olds. And there's some kids who understand and get it that you're like, you got to sell it, right? And then there's the kids who just go like this, or not even that, they're like this,
right?
They just look like this, and I was like, guys, no. I said it sounds boring because it's easy, but like they haven't perfected it. But you see the kids who really like listen. Again, that's a whole different level too. We're in a whole different generation of like, but there's some kids who listen and they get it, and it's like, oh shit, got that. Noted. And then there's the kids who are a little bit more talented that are like, I don't need to do that. I don't have to do a proper jab step because I'm already scoring. But it's like, bro, everybody's they're gonna catch up. And then what? You don't have that in your bag because you didn't practice it, and it doesn't become second nature. So I don't know. There are a lot of the Instagram ones, but like you said, like it's explaining those basic, dude, all the stuff that I use, I don't know about this for you, Chad. It's literally, most of it is like Tom Kelly, Peebles, Hubble, Pinot, all the like dog, like for me, like same thing. I didn't live with my dad, and it was like, bro, I hated Kelly until 2 years after I graduated. I was like, fuck, that's what I definitely needed. I needed somebody to like push me, be on my ass, like hold yourself accountable, and then not be a bitch.
Yeah,
and sometimes you would go through the moments where I'm like, man, this is bitch mode. And they were like, Hubble, all them dudes were like, hey, I see it in you, we're gonna get it out of you. And it's like, oh man, that was something that was so invaluable because it was like, it went beyond basketball. It gave you a little bit of confidence that you were like, hey, you know what, coach is right, man. If this dude believes that I can go run this dude down or go set a pick on this dude, hell yeah, I could do it. So like for a guy who didn't live with his dad, that was a great, at the time I was like, what a dick. I led the team running around the school. Like that was number one for me. Waters, give me a trip. Fuck again. I did the same thing this asshole did. But yeah,
that's probably one of my biggest regrets from my upbringing and playing ball in high school was that I was not coachable. Like I was too full of myself. I always felt like whatever anybody was trying to tell me in terms of coaching was wrong because I wanted to do it my way. And that hurt me. That hurt me. Like as much as I can brag that like I joined you guys and I won a chip my senior year, like I like could have just stayed at Burbank, listened to the coaches, and been the man there. Like it could have easily gone that way, but I decided like, no, I'm stubborn. And that's honestly what part of the reason I transferred, because like I wanted to do it my way, and I wanted to go to another program and try to see how well I could do there and try to be the man there. And like at the beginning it was good, but then like my old habits started to happen again where like I wasn't listening to Sullivan and like I was just doing my own thing, and I ended up being the 12th man as a result. So like having a kid who's coachable is like so much better from a coaching aspect. But like I think back to those days and just think about how different my trajectory would have been if I had just shut the fuck up and listen. Like, that's it. So,
and you had a game that you could have flourished in those situations as well.
yeah,
But I think now thinking about it, taking a step back and being a little bit more like I didn't get along with Sullivan either. Like my junior year, I used to joke it was a waste of time. I used to dick Mario and Topless every day and still get to the game and not play.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where like I could understand, but at the same time, me and Sullivan came together right before the senior year started, and I was like, "Hey, can we make this work, or do I need to go to Burbank? Like, can we?" I
remember you said you almost transferred senior year, right? It's like a trade.
Eric Rohr came to me, and Eric Rohr said, "Chad, let's go win a championship together." And I was really on board with it for a minute. For a minute, I told Eric Rohr, I was like, because Rohr was my boy. Like I knew Rohr since 7th grade also, and just kind of kept telling me, he was like, "Hey, dude, like we can go make this happen. You'd be the point guard, I'd be the big 6'9" guy. It's hard to find in high school, man."
He was a big boy.
He was a beast. He was a beast too. But I finally kind of came to my senses. But a real quick Tom Kelly story. The Burroughs gym was closed down for like a week or two because they were redoing the floor, so we had to go practice at Olive Park. We would literally walk from Burroughs to Olive to go have our practices after school. And I didn't know who Kelly was at the time. I wasn't a real, like, in summer I played JV a little bit, but like me and Kelly weren't really close at all. Like I didn't have a relationship with them. So we're just shooting around ready for practice to start. And Kelly gets a rebound and like points at me like, "Come on." He nutmegs me, crosses me over, step back, hits a 30-footer in my eye, and he said, "Kid, you ain't got it yet." I just remember looking at this short little midget and saying, "What the fuck just happened?" Like, what is this? Like, it was an out-of-body experience. I was like, "What?" And from that moment on, I did whatever that man told me to do. We would get up at 5:30 and meet at Burroughs and just shoot for an hour. Like that's another guy that like really like kind of took me under his wing and said, "Hey, you're gonna be a point guard. You're 6 foot tall. You're white. You ain't got this athleticism that you think you got. You're gonna be a point guard, Chad." And he really like me, him, and
you know what? Real quick, you know what was fucked up is that you were 6 feet tall at 12, so you were thinking you were gonna be like 6'5" maybe,
right? Well,
you stopped at 12.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody told me that. Everybody was like, "Hey, dude, you're gonna be a wing. You're gonna be a wing." And then Kelly's the first one that really pulled me aside and said, "Hey, dude, you got to play point guard. Like, we got to work on your handles. We got to work on your shot. We got to get you a little more consistent." He's like, "You got a great driving game, but like, we got to touch up these areas." And like, thank God for somebody like that at an early age to come to me and was like, "Hey, like, I see it in you, but we just got to change some things, And I really listen. Like to this day, I still text him, and where I was coaching at, I was trying to, because I know he's only got a couple of years left at Hart. So I was trying to get.
That's right. He's at Hart High School.
Oh, he's won like 7-8 championships in the last 20 years there.
Wow.
Yeah, he's done a great job over there. But like, I was trying to get a game, my high school team against his out here. But I'm hoping to get that next year. But like really to think about how many really solid coaches we had and just good men we had around us, Jay. Like we were really blessed. We were really, really, really blessed. I never discredit that at all. Growing up, because not having a father, like we said, like those were really solid role models and solid people. You know what I mean?
He used to always say too, if he was 6'7", he would have been to the league. Crazy ass.
Wasn't he like 5'7"?
Oh, not that short.
He was the man in junior college too, man. He averaged like 20 a game in junior college.
He lived right by Acapulco, and after we had graduated, me and Woods were walking home something, and he was like, "Hey, I want you guys to know that," or we were driving